right? And that's why when she said,
Mm. Where is your money? Where is your money? I hope it's in your hands. Where is your money? I hope it's in your hands. Where is your money? I hope it's in your hands. Where is your money? I hope it's in your hands. That's a beautiful song, ain't it? Uh, I may have to write that one. That's pretty good. I hope it's in your hands. Today we're going to talk about your money. Where is it? And I hope it's in your hands. Because the fundamentals of your money is very important to you. It should be. And if it's not, well, uh-oh. Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Let's put that back over there, right? Put that right there. Right there. And then let's spread that out just a little bit because my name is very important to me. Spread it out like that. Okay. And let's push it back just a little bit. Just a little bit over there in the corner there. Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj Jones Show. Oh. I'm here. It is the evening edition. Baby, how y'all is? Come on in. Water's fine. Water's fine. How you doing? Happy birthday to you, Ramsey. It's her birthday. Powerful woman. Powerful woman. Powerful woman of God. I love her dearly. Mitzi and Beatrice and Eleanor and Carolyn Keys and Liddell and Annette and a whole bunch of y'all are here. Good to see you. And those of you who came on here on the other side of my phone here that ain't said nothing. See, if you say something, I can say and put your name on the Jumbotron. But I have to look at you, see if you came in on the phone. Good to see you, Marlon McDaniels, my dear brother, Belinda Oliver, and the rest. Hey, let's talk about this. Money. Yeah, there you go. See, Marlon? How hard was that, Marlon? How hard was it? Let's talk about this money and the fundamentals of it, and why is it so important that you understand what's going on with your money and how it affects the economy. Today we're talking about the fundamentals of the economy and what happens to your money when you make deposits in your bank, Chase Bank, Bank of America, I don't know, U.S. Bank, Citibank, Citicorp, whoever your bank is. We want to talk about that. And he said, not hard at all. Good to see you, Marquis. Blessings to you. And so I want to see if I can go over this lesson with you as quick as I can. All right. Blessings to you, Rochelle Corbin, my dear sister. All right. Many of you who are coming in here, Celestia. I like saying that name, Celestia. It's a royalty. So the there is an order here, okay, that goes on. If you ever go to YouTube and you see a lot of people talking about the economy and banking and finance and the stock market today because it is needed today. You need to know what's going on. Today we'll talk about fractional reserve banking, pretty much so, but we'll talk about the difference between money and currency. All right, and then say yo. Why you gotta say yo? All right, the difference between currency and money. There is a difference between money and currency. All right. Who was that said it best? He said that I'll talk about tomorrow when I do my show on gold. He says that gold is money and everything else is credit. Y'all understand what I'm saying? I thought it was brilliant, and I believe he is absolutely right. It might have been Carnegie who said it. Gold is money. Everything else is credit. And he's right. So let's talk about currency. Currency is a medium of exchange. All right. It is a unit of account because it's got numbers on it. All right. That's what money is. All right. So what makes it currency is it's portable, it's durable, it's divisible. Okay, meaning you can divide it. I'm not saying you can just cut this dollar up and then give one over to this guy and then I got the other half. No, it means you can make change. That's what makes it divisible. And it's also fungible. All right. Fungible means interchangeable. So $1 in my pocket buys the same amount as in your pocket. So it's fungible. So it's those four things that makes up currency: portable, divisible, durable, and fungible. Y'all understand? That's currency. Good to see you, Michelle Carter. All right. Now, prior to 1965, the USA dimes coinage contained, let's see if I, this dime, okay. Prior to that, it contained about 90% silver. All right. Prior to 1965. Now I got a second camera here to show y'all some stuff here. All right. That dime right there, it was 90% silver. Okay, that's a current melt current melt value of about $2.10. Okay, now let me shorten up some windows here because y'all's comments are taking up my screen and I got to move stuff around. President Johnson said that silver is too much. It's much too valuable to be money. So they started printing these substitutes, which were about 91% copper based, okay, and about 8% nickel, or what they call a nickel wash. So today's coins has a current melt value of about less than 2 cents, actually. All right, so that coin that you saw back during your grandmama's days, back during their days, it actually was worth something. So what did they do? What they did was they tried to make the coins look like gold and silver, even though they had no value. Let me show you here. Okay, J.P. Morgan said it. Thank you, Amber. So look at this. This here is our current coin today. I mean, it's just cheap. You're used to seeing it look like this, but it's really not really worth much, right? But here we have what looks like gold. Okay, these are dollar pieces. I collect dollar pieces. All right, so you can tell the difference here. It's really about how they colored it. Okay. And my hands are too big. All right. Okay, that's what's going on here. So it's all about manipulation, manipulating the currency. And the United States is very, it's famous for doing that. Melanie, good to see you. All right, so that's what currency is. Money is all of the things I just said. All right, money is everything: portable, durable, divisible, and fungible. That's what money is. Okay, it's like currency. But money has what's called a store of value over a long period of time. Money, a store of value. So that's why J.P. Morgan said that gold is it's really a store of value. Okay, and in over a period of time, it has a meaning. This over a period of time weakens and weakens, and in many cases it gets destroyed. So money is everything we said about currency, but much more. Gold and silver is limited in supply, and the government can't print gold. They can't print the gold. All right, that's what makes it money. Good to see you, Tanil. All right, and governments don't like gold because there's a restraint. They can't really do anything much with it. They try to regulate the gold. They can't really do it because there's a difference between the Wall Street and Main Street. There's a difference between Wall Street and Main Street, and as it pertains to Wall Street, well, there's a manipulation. There's more of a power structure there when it comes to gold and precious metals. All right. So what we have here, though, is called fiat. All right, fiat is Latin, an authoritative order or official decree. Can y'all tell me who is over the who's the chair of the Federal Reserve Bank? Can you put in the comments there? Who is the president of the Federal Reserve Bank? Put that in the comments, please. You can cheat if you want to. Go ahead, Google it. Go ahead. Good to see you, Karen Bell. All right, so fiat. All right, it's just paper. It's all it is. It is just a worthless piece of paper. But when the federal chair says it's worth something, then it's worth something. Back a few years ago, it was Ben Bernanke and who else was it? Janet Yellen. Okay, all right. When they put a special sign on it and they have their little meetings at the Federal Open Market Committee meetings, what have you, it suddenly becomes currency. Understand? So I could take this box of tissue here, Kleenex, take a pen, all right? I don't know if I can do it here, if it'll work, and I can write $100. Okay? I can write, I don't know if you can see it. You may not be able to see it. I can write $100 on this piece of tissue. Okay? It's somewhere around there. All right? And then the Fed chairs, Jerome Powell, thank you, Celestia, will have their meetings. Oh, that's blurry. I'm seeing the delayed on my phone. That's blurry. I can't even see that 100. Okay, the federal chair would have their meetings, and Dave will deem that this piece of tissue that I blow my nose with is now worth $100. You understand? Since 2018, Michelle Carter. Okay, it's now worth $100. Why? Is anything backing it? No. The only thing that's backing it is a group of people sat down and decided that this is now worth $100. And when you have the power to turn something into money, that means that perceived money is now it's useless. Even though it may be worth something in the mind, it is worth less because there's nothing of value backing it. You have an insurance policy on your life. So your life is worth something, and this is why somebody be trying to kill you, because you may have $1 million life insurance policy on you. You are now worth more dead in some eyes of some people than you are alive. Your car have insurance on it, so you feel safe to go outside and go into heavy traffic or go into certain dangerous places. All right, you feel a little more safe because you know that if something happens to your car, it is insured. Your home is insured from flood and fire and theft. All right, so the Federal Reserve could take something like an inanimate object and make it of value. But how valuable is the person or persons who's making the insurance policy, who's drawing up the insurance policies? That needs to be looked at, because the Federal Reserve is pumping a lot of money into the economy, which is doing what? Can somebody tell me? Just because they said so. Yeah, just because they said so. So they're pumping money, trillions of dollars into the economy. What is that doing to this fiat money, dollar? Huh? Can y'all tell me? Put it in the comments, will you please? All right. Every country on the planet now uses fiat currency, and it is backed by nothing. No fiat currency has ever survived. All right. In history, back in history, none have ever survived. Thank you, Nelson, making it less valuable. Absolutely. So in 1913, maybe, when they formed the Federal Reserve, This dollar was worth $26. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Now I want y'all to do the math. Okay, I don't know if I have one. Okay, yeah, I do. So in 1913, this dollar was worth $26 in 1913. What would have $20 have been worth in 1913? A $20 bill, what would it have been worth in 1913? You mathematicians out there, if a dollar was worth $26 back then, can y'all put it in the comments section, will you please? I want to prove a point here. Deduction is value and percent at a percent rate. Yeah. Yes, it loses its value. All right. So the dollar is actually it's magical because it's backed off of a promise backed by a government that is weakening its dollar. All right. Nelson says you would have $520. Can you imagine that, Dante? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine walking around right now with $20 bills and it's worth $520? This is why our forefathers were able to fill grocery carts. My mother had just a little money, but we would leave the grocery store with 3 and 4 grocery carts. It was amazing how she was able to stretch that money because it was worth more back then. Today, if you walk out with 2 bags, you're lucky. Yes. All right. So this is a promissory note. Going to the back of the class, damn. Yeah. All right. So let's now I've done this on live before, and actually I'm getting ready to do an illegal act. Okay. Yeah. Now $20 is worth $5. Come on, Dante. Yeah. All right. So this is a dollar bill. Let me show you how weak this currency is, how insignificant it is, and how much of a magic dollar it is. Because I can take it. Don't be afraid. It's a dollar. Okay. Right now, as I tear this dollar in half, it is now worth less. I can't do anything with this dollar. Nothing. I can't pass this to the clerk and say, here's my exchange for your. They'll be like, I don't want that. I don't want it. I can't even give them both like this. They won't even take it because it is now worthless until I take something like this Scotch tape, and I just do this. Y'all notice I only did that with $1. I ain't doing that with my 20. I take this Scotch tape, and then let's see here, and then I just put it together like that. Okay, and then I do this. It may be a little sloppy, but I do that. Okay, bam! Look at that. Okay. What just happened? This dollar actually is now worth again $1. I don't understand that. How could that possibly be? Even a small corner missing can be rejected, Grace says. Yeah. At present, our dollar bill is only worth 85 cents. Yeah. The clerk will now take the dollar, even with the tape on it. It did not lose its value. It did not lose its value. It's a magic dollar. And you think that is what that is worth something? In the eyes of God, it's worth absolutely nothing. Because he put something down here that stood the test of time, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay. So dollars do grow on trees. Yeah, let them destroy later because the government will destroy the dollar later. Yes. So what they do is they go into what's called deficit spending. When the government expenditures exceeds its revenues, some of y'all in your homes have deficit spending, causing or deepening a deficit. This excess spending needs to be financed through the borrower, so likely from foreign governments. So the increased government spending can help stimulate the economy as more money flows in, but the jump in borrowing can have an adverse effect by raising interest rates. All right, now that's a lot of mumbo to the jumbo to some of y'all, but it's actually what's happening right now during the pandemic. Many of some of you lost your jobs, and they shut down the government, and then the stock market crashed, and then the Federal Reserve was pumping money in there and all kind of things. And so deficit spending happens. Then they start lowering the interest rates to get you interested in refinancing or going out there and financing stuff because they were trying to stimulate the government. And a lot of that, most of it was backfiring because the GDP, the results, this quarter came out and it was the worst we had ever seen in American history in this third quarter. I heard that people can wash money and change the value. Is that true? I don't know where you get that from, Melanie. Not sure where you get that from. It's basically the same type of math when you go to the gas station. You pay $3 for only... Yes, that's good. Michelle, well, you should be sitting over here teaching this class with me. All right? So what's happening? It's called a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is a fraudulent investment operation where the operator and an individual or an organization pays returns to its investors from new capital paid to the operators by new investors. Everybody know what a Ponzi scheme is. It started with a guy named Charles Ponzi. He became notorious for using the technique way back in 1920. The idea presents in novels, Charles Dickens, all right, and it goes on and on. But we believe that the United States definitely is a part of the greatest Ponzi scheme in world history, and we all are part of it, and we don't really understand. We don't even know that we are. Okay. And this Ponzi scheme they've been getting away with it for many, many, many years since they created the Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve Bank is not federal. It is not a reserve, nor is it a bank. You can't go in there and make withdrawals or deposits in that. It's not. There's no money in the Federal Reserve Bank. It's all about meetings and talking and typing stuff on computers. And this is how governments fall. I believe God is using this coronavirus as a way to usher in the prophetic end time that we've been reading about in history. We don't see the United States in Bible history, and I believe this is why our economy will fall and it will implode like we saw other nations, including Rome, imploded. They didn't explode, they imploded. All right. So what happens? The government prints what's called or offer what's called bonds. Some of you ever bought a bond? I bought savings bonds. They have municipal bonds, okay, and all kind of bonds. And a government bond is a bond issued by a national government, generally with the promise to pay periodic interest payments and to repay the face value on the maturity date. So this $20, you bought it from the government, and over time you will collect interest on this $20 bond until its mature rate. Now, unfortunately, if the interest rate is at zero, as we saw at the beginning of the year, how good is the government bond if it is maturing by a high interest rate? It's not good at all. And governments buy into bonds in order to keep their economy going, or the United States borrow money from other nations through bonds. So government bonds is absolutely important to the health and welfare of the United States. But the United States is biting the hand that feeds it because it's trying to fix something but by fixing it, it is destroying it. So the interest rates that are high is not good for you, the consumer, but interest rates that are high is good for the producer. You understand? If you got high interest rates and you got money in the stock market, okay, or if you got money in money markets and things like that, then high interest rates are good because you're making more money on the dollar. When you put your money in a bank account and it's got 7% interest rate and you put $100 in there, that's great. And you keep doubling your money over time. But when the government lowers the interest rates, you get excited. But as a consumer, it actually does the opposite. So when the interest rates are down to zero, then the guys who got money in those high interest rates, federal banks, they're losing money. People in the stock market, they losing money. People who got money markets accounts and who got bonds, government bonds, they're losing money now when the government lowers the interest rates. So it helps the poor guy, the working stiff. All right, the guy who wants to refinance his house and a car is great for the consumer when the interest rate is low. When the interest rate is high, it's not good for the consumer. Yes, it's an absolute legal Ponzi scheme, and they're getting away with it. It's amazing how they can do that. All right, so bonds are very important as it pertains to the Federal Reserve Bank because, again, the great Ponzi scheme is the United States economy is slipping, and it's slipping into a recession. So they go across the street to the Federal Reserve Bank and borrow money, and they borrow that money with interest. And so the Federal Reserve says, okay, we'll loan you $1 trillion with interest. All right, and then what happens? And then it goes into the Treasury Department, and the Treasury Department issues what's called government bonds. Oh man, this is too big. I'll have to do this. I'll have to finish that tomorrow. I lost a lot from my annuity in 2008, Mincy. Yeah, so you understand. Okay, so tomorrow I want to talk about the gold standard and why it was so important that we stayed on the gold standard, and why was it important that Richard Nixon removed us from the gold standard. Although it was supposed to have been temporarily, it wound up staying for, it'll be 50 years next year, August 15, 1971. It'd be 50 years we were been off of the gold standard. Good to see you, Veronica Frank. Okay, so fractional lending. Okay, what happens when you deposit your money in the bank? All right, let me give you a scenario here. If I deposit $100 in Chase Bank right now, the bank have the legal right, and they say it on the websites, all right? They have the legal right to take $90 of my deposit and loan it out to Mitzi, to Veronica, to God is watching, okay? They loan $90 of my money out. You don't know that's happening, but every time you make a deposit, they take 90% of that money out, all right? And they can do it and give it to whoever they want to do it. So we're bringing this up because this tells you how is the economy growing? Is the government pumping money into the economy to make it grow, or is this you and the banks doing this? We'll find out what that is in a minute. So I put $100 in there. It takes $90 out and give it to somebody. It then keeps $10 in my account. When you go to your account to check your balance, it still says $100 there. But in essence, you really only have 90 there. It's called vault cash. Okay? That's actually an IOU that you see there in that bank account. All right? This is fractional reserve lending. Yeah, y'all understand. They use our money to do their business. Yes. And Carolyn Keys, they use our money to do your business as well. How do you think you got that home? How do you think you got that car? How do you think you were able to start that business? That's my money that the bank gave to you. I used to be a personal banker with Chase. He's absolutely right. We're paying their, yep, to loan to others. The system is needed, or where would the money come from? How do the banks produce that money? Is reminiscent of how Bailey, It's a Wonderful Life. You're in my notes. Yeah, told all those customers who, yes, there it is. That's exactly it. It's my favorite scene in that whole movie. And when I watched it as a young man, I didn't understand it because they did a run on the bank. And they says, Mr. Potter is paying such and such and such on the dollar, less on the dollar. And they were willing to go to Mr. Potter for their business. All right. And Bailey was like, you can't do this. You can't do this to us. Why? Because your money is here. Mr. Jim, you put your money in here so that Mr. Jim could build a house. You're hurting yourselves in Baileyville. you don't realize you're hurting yourself by pulling your money out of here. Now your daughter can't borrow money from us to build a house because you're pulling your money out. And that's exactly what this is. This is fractional reserve lending. 50 cents on the dollar. Vote cash. Yes. All right. Okay. All right. So commercial banks create checkbook money whenever they grant a loan, simply by adding new deposit dollars in accounts on their books in exchange for a borrower's IOU. That's what the Federal Reserve does. All right. Fractional lending. All right. So these numbers only exist on computers. It's just numbers being typed in the computers. So now the total, all right, I put $100 in there. They took 90 out and gave it to someone. So what happened? The bank just created $190 in the economy. You understand? So then the man who the bank lent the $90 to, he goes and he buys a car with it. So the car dealer takes the $90, and then the dealer deposits the money in their account. And then his bank loans out 90% of that deposit to another borrower. So now there's $271 in the economy existing. It's just poof. All right. And this process repeats itself over and over again. Matter of fact, let me show y'all. I kind of did that for you here. All right here. Okay. I did a little early for you so that you can get it. Okay. Here's John. John made a deposit of $100. Okay. He made a $100 deposit. Let's say he made that deposit in Chase Bank. Chase Bank took the $90 out of the $100 and gave it to Bill. Okay. And what did Bill need that money for? Bill needed that money to buy a car. All right. So Bill took that money, deposited the $90 into his account. He's at U.S. Bank. Okay. And then what happens? When he deposited that money, U.S. Bank took 90% of that deposit. All right. And notice they created $190, and then they gave it to Tom. Tom is looking for a home. Okay. Tom got that money, $81, and then the bank took that, let's say Citicorp, took that $81 out, 90% of it, and gave it to Becky. What does Becky need? Becky is starting a business. She wants a business loan. Y'all see how this is working? And so the government, the bank, I don't know, that's Citicorp, let's say I don't know, is that P&G Bank? I don't know. All right. Or is it PNC? I think it's PNC. She deposits $72 in there, and then the bank takes 90% of $72, okay? And see what's happening? Now $343 is in the economy. Y'all see what's happening there? and they keep doing this until they reach $1,000. All right. Now there's $1,000 in the economy. How did that $1,000 get into the economy? It started with my measly $100, and over time, all right, over time, there's $1,000 that's in the economy. Thank you, PNC. Lorraine says. All right, that's how it works. That's fractional lending, and this is how the world turns. Okay. This is how the world turns, and many of you didn't know that, but now you do. So there's no more excuse by saying I ain't know. Well, you know now. All right. So who gives this currency value? All right, we the working stiff. We do. We work hard so we can make some of that currency. So we can pay the tax collector, which is the IRS. The IRS turns that money over to the Treasury Department so that the Treasury can pay the principal plus the interest on the bonds that the Federal Reserve bought with a check on an account that ain't got nothing in it. That's Economy 101, y'all. Right there. Do y'all need me to repeat it? Huh? Y'all need me to repeat it. The banks need us, and we need the banks. Yep. So when y'all got your friends walking around trying to tell people to get your money out of Chase Bank, I wasn't studying any of that. Why? I got my mortgage from Chase Bank. And my black brothers and sisters work at Chase Bank. And Auntie Poo Poo got her sewing business from Chase Bank. So you want everybody to take their money out of there. Okay? So let me explain it again to you, just in case you missed it. How does your dollar work? And why is this such a big Ponzi scheme? All right? The economy dipped. The Federal Reserve came to the rescue. Okay? We work hard so that we can make that money. So that we could pay the tax collector, the IRS. The IRS turns that money over to the Treasury Department. Then the Treasury Department takes that money and pays back the loan that the Federal Reserve Bank gave to the Treasury Department with interest. On what? On government bonds that the Federal Reserve bought with a check that was drawn on an account at the Federal Reserve Bank that has nothing in it, because the Federal Reserve Bank is not federal, is not a reserve, nor is it a bank. And you expect the United States government to last until the dawns of time? No. We will soon fold like this dollar. We will soon fold. What bank would anyone rank number one? None. Not a one. Now, if you're talking about as far as who gives the best interest, well, you go on Google and find out it keeps fluctuating. Online banks are better than brick and mortar banks because the online banks don't have expenses like in brick and mortar, and they don't have to pay all these employees and the insurance and fringe benefits and overheads and what have you. So that's why online banks can offer you high interest rates on your deposits. You understand? That's why banks are so possessive of the money that you put in the account, because they are the ultimate users of it. Yep, and will turn around and charge you a fee for every overdraft or indiscretion they don't see you as a true owner, of that money. I'm trying to tell y'all, it's good. That's good. That's pretty good. It's good. Michelle Smith, good to see you. You're late. Get in the back of the class with Tam. You and Tam sit back there and be quiet. Don't say nothing. during the late fall of that year up until now, there have been gradual increases in your finance charges. Yeah, APRs. Yeah. Come on, Michelle Carter. We got to take this on the road. All right. So that's what that's all about. Much of our taxes are not used for schools. They tell you that the taxes that the IRS is collecting, no. If all of our money was going towards government programs, we would not be having the struggles and the problems that some of our cities are having. So much of that taxes are not going to the schools, not going to the roads, not going to public services. No, the Federal Reserve is actually committing a fraud. All right. Before the establishment of the Federal Reserve, there was no need for personal income taxes. There was no need. The reserve was created, I think we said in 1913, and that in that same year that the Federal Reserve was created, the Constitution was amended to allow income tax. Y'all see what the government did? Y'all see what they did? They created the Federal Reserve. In that same year, they went into the Constitution and changed it and amended it so that they can allow income tax. Y'all see what they did? Fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. There was an economist, John Maynard, says, by this means government may secretly and unobserved confiscate the wealth of the people, and not one man in a million will detect the theft. The banks and employees operate in the same way. You give, they take. Yeah, that's going on. So in the 2008 economic bubble bust, the banks were too big to fail because the government, the U.S. Treasury, coupled with the Federal Reserve, they needed the banks. That's why these banks, Lehman Brothers and all these banks, okay, they could not fail. They got a big bailout. You didn't get bailed out. The banks did. You understand? They was too big to fail because the government needed them. They didn't care about you working stiff. Here's a list of the banks and the companies that failed in 2008. Many of them filed for bankruptcy. Bennigan's, Borders Books. I cried when Borders. I cried. Bradford and Bingley. Let's see, some that you all might be familiar with. Chrysler, Circuit City, Countrywide Financial. I think who bought that one? Countrywide. I think J.P. Morgan might have snatched that one up. General Motors, Joe's, KB Toys, Lehman Brothers, Linens and Things, Mervyn's, Peanut Corporation of America, CETA, Silicon Graphics, Steve & Barry's, the Sharper Image was one of my favorite stores. Value City, another favorite store of mine. Washington Mutual, yes. JP, I know for a fact JP Morgan bought up Washington Mutual. Who else? Woolworths Group and Young Broadcasting. Yeah, many of them had to file. All right. So let's talk about quantitative easing, and we can get this going here. Yeah, you know that bookstore, Michelle? Yeah, I cried. I cried when they left us. Bank of America snatched up Countrywide. Yes, Countrywide. Yes, that's what I thought. And I believe Washington Mutual as well. I believe they did. Because there was a Washington Mutual that was on the corner of where my parents live, and then it became Chase. Unless they just bought up a couple branches. So quantitative easing, sometimes you'll hear QE. You heard it a lot during 2020. QE. Typically, central banks target the supply of money by buying or selling government bonds. Okay, we talked about government bonds. Government bonds, very important. The governments buy them up. When the bank seeks to promote economic growth, it buys government bonds. which lowers short-term interest rates and increases the money supply. It's simple arithmetic, and it has worked in the past. This strategy loses effectiveness when interest rates approach zero, like what's happening right now, forcing banks to try other strategies in order to stimulate the economy. So the going out buying government bonds is not working because the interest rate is too low and I can't make money on the bonds. So the banks try to do other things. So QE targets commercial bank and private sector assets instead. And it attempts to spur economic growth by encouraging banks to lend money. The Federal Reserve wants the banks to lend the money. So they do this QE thing. However, if the money supply increases too fast, then QE, or quantitative easing, can lead to higher rates of inflation. Inflation. Can somebody tell me what inflation is in the box? What is inflation? This is due to the fact that there is still a fixed amount of goods for sale when more money is now available in the economy. So banks may decide to keep funds generated by quantitative easing in a reserve. So you go down in and get a bank loan and they say, I'm sorry, we can't help you now. They're holding on to it. They're hoarding the money and they're keeping it in a reserve rather than lending those funds to individuals and businesses. They're holding on to it. And they're telling you now, you got to have a credit score of 715 or something like that in order for you to get considered for even a car loan. Why? Quantitative easing. Yes, Mitzi. Prices rise. Prices raise, she says. All right? So there's difference between there's deflation and inflation, recession, and all these things we were supposed to learn in grammar school and high school, but they were too busy trying to teach you how to be submissive to a boss when you graduate. That's why I love the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, because he pretty much was talking about that. I always believe in not chasing after salary, but you chase after the profit. How do you get the profit? You get the profit not by working for someone else. You get the profit by working for yourself. Yes, inflation, a general increase in prices and fall in the purchase value of money. Yes, absolutely. So the currency was created out of thin air and then given to the banks who paid themselves record bonuses. These CEOs was taking that money that was given to them to help stimulate the economy, and they were paying themselves. And then they were buying back their stocks. All right? So they were paying themselves record bonuses in rewards for crashing the world economy. It was a global phenomenon. It was crazy. So let me close this by giving you the seven stages of empires. This was great by Mike Maloney. Mike Maloney did a great breakdown of the 7 stages of empires, and we can try to decide where we are in the stages of empire. I'm gonna give you 7 here, which will explain why many of the nations failed. Number 1, a country starts out with good money, which is either gold or silver, or it is backed by gold or silver. All of the governments around the world decided, and I'll talk about that tomorrow, to tie the gold to the United States dollar. It was good. It's what made us a superpower. Well, we had become a superpower, and they decided to come together and decided the United States dollar will be its central bank in a sense. All right. And it was backed by gold. And then the nation's gold's reserve was shipped here, and we kept the gold here. All right. So that's the first stages of empire. Number 2, as it develops economically and socially, it begins to take on more and more economic burdens adding layer upon layer of public works. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, during the stock market crash, began to institute a lot of public works programs, and that's when we started seeing stage 2 of our empire. It was doing a great thing, yet it was doing a bad thing as well, and that's another story. Number 3, as its economy affluence grows, so does its political influence, and it increases expenditures to fund a massive military. The United States spends more on its military than it spends on any other thing. And the United States spends more on military than any other nation. The United States spends more on military than the top 5 nations combined around the world. We are afraid. We put up massive military spending. So that's number 3. Number 4, eventually it puts its military to use and expenditures then explode. We were in Iraq, Iran, we were in Afghanistan. We were spread thin. Number 5, so to fund the war, in order for us to bankroll that is the war, it steals the wealth of its people by debasing their coinage with base metals, or by replacing their money with currency that can be created in unlimited quantities. Quantitative easing, pumping money into the economy. You understand? That's the phase we are at now, number 5. Number 6, the loss in purchasing power of the expanded currency supply is sensed by the population and the financial markets, triggering a loss of faith in its currency. I ain't got much faith in it, so the people started hoarding that money. Understand? That's number 6. That's what's happening now, I believe, as well. And number 7, a mass movement out of currency into precious metals and other tangible assets then take place. Notice the talk about gold and silver and plutonium and palladium and all these things. Lately, you've been hearing a lot of talk about that because we're at stage 7. The currency collapse and gold and silver rise in price as they account for the huge quantity of currency that was created. All this money coming down from the Federal Reserve Bank, and all that money coming down is not good. So it's being devalued. And so the people get afraid and says this money is not worth much, so let's buy gold as an insurance policy against this weak money here. It's a safe haven. It's a hedge. Gold is an insurance policy more so than it is investment. All right? So the currency collapse and gold and silver rise in price as they account for the huge quantity of currency that is created. So this process transfers massive wealth to those who had the foresight to position themselves beforehand in real money. They had the foresight. People were buying up gold for years because they knew it was coming. We've been talking about this for years. When I did the show last year about buying gold was at, I think, $1,200. I think it was teetering around $1,200 an ounce. Let me show you what gold is today. This is what gold is right now. Y'all see that? Gold per ounce, $2,000 an ounce. Here's the gram, 64, and here's the kilo, 64,000. That's what it is right now. See what happened here? See that dip? It went down to 1,400 in March 19 of this year. Y'all remember what happened this year in March 19? Remember what happened? And then whoop, look at that. It started to climb. And here's silver here. Okay. Which is second, and then platinum, and then palladium. All right. Okay. Y'all, this is how it works. So you need to prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Yes, Lorraine Steele. Yes. With the same thing that happened with Great Britain before they collapsed as a superpower. There it is. Your daughter said it was 2,500. Yeah. I haven't refreshed this website. An hour ago, it was at $2,021. So she could be right. All right. Sounds like it begins with too much overconfidence on the part of the government. Yes. The Woolco Company on State Street in Chicago, which owned Woolworth. Yes. Yeah, that's right. You remember Woolworth? Shopped there quite a bit back in my boyhood days. What are you saying here? And for years, the candidates that screamed about beefing up the military and spending more money on the military got all the attention. Yep. United States. Yes. There it is. There it is. Okay, y'all, listen, I'm gonna go eat something, go upstairs and rub baby girl's belly. And I gotta get back to my writing. I appreciate y'all hanging around here, and I hope you got something out of the show today. I pray that you also being very wise with your money and your spending, because it's yours, and no one should be able to take that money from you, your nest egg, if you're smart enough and wise enough and know what's in your pocket. Because it disturbs me when I hear people say, especially in church, they give their monies in church, and then they say, I don't care what the people do with the money, I just give them because God says blah blah blah, and I often get teary eyed when I see that, which tells me you're horrible with your money. For you shop, it take you 3 days to shop for some panties, pantyhose, and some shoes and a wig, and you do in-depth study on shopping for tangible assets that's on your body. But when it comes to something like that, you just say, here. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I hear. All right. So we do these shows because we want to help you get through this second wave, third wave, fourth wave. There's always a wave coming. We want to help you because the stock market will be crashing soon again. The economy is really in bad shape. There's going to be massive, layoffs and firings and eviction notices and all kind of stuff getting ready to happen this year. This is going to be one of the shakiest years you ever seen in your entire life. We've already seen that. It will get worse as we go further. Things will get better, and if there will be a perceived value on the United States. You start seeing things get better, then Trump will brag about how he recovered this from covered that. All right. Don't get caught up in that, because the Bible says when there was peace and safety, then what happened? Sudden destruction came, bow, and just took over the land and wiped out stuff, all right? So don't get so comfortable when you watch the news and it says, oh, look, y'all, we're doing good today, and the death rates are going down, and this is going away. Oh, it's so great. Yeah. Another one, always coming. And always keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eye gates open. Yeah, don't look back as you're plowing the gospel plow. Don't look back. You ain't worthy. All right, keep looking forward, and educate your family with this. Teach them, your children, and everybody else in your house. Teach them. All right. I love y'all. Ain't nothing you can do about it. I gotta go. Tell everybody bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Hopefully we can talk about this gold stuff, all right? Hey, Lisa said, hey, that's not true. What's not true? Okay, we'll fight later on. Peace, love, and soul.
Right,